March 13th, 1997. A quiet Thursday night in the American Southwest suddenly became one of the most mysterious nights in modern history. Across the dark desert sky, a formation of strange lights slowly moved overhead. At first, people assumed it was aircraft, but as the lights drifted silently across the horizon, witnesses began to realize something was terribly unusual. Because this was not a single sighting, not a handful of reports, but thousands of people across Arizona seeing the same thing at the same time. Families standing in their backyards, drivers pulling over on highways, police officers staring into the sky. More than 10,000 witnesses would eventually report what they saw that night. And even today, nearly 3 decades later, no single explanation has solved the mystery. So what exactly appeared over Phoenix in 1997? And why do many of those who saw it still insist it was not from this earth? The first reports began around 7:30 p.m.
Residents near the Nevada-Arizona border noticed strange lights moving slowly through the sky. At first glance, they looked like airplanes flying in formation. But the longer people watched, the stranger it seemed. The lights were perfectly aligned in a massive V-shaped formation. Even more unsettling, there was no sound. No roar of jet engines, no helicopter blades, just a silent group of lights gliding steadily through the darkness. Witnesses said the formation continued moving south, crossing into Arizona. What followed would turn an ordinary evening into one of the most talked about UFO sightings in American history. By 8:30 p.m., people across northern Arizona were looking up at the sky in disbelief. The lights were now directly overhead. Some witnesses described a triangular shape connecting the lights. Others said it looked like a giant boomerang drifting slowly through the night. But nearly everyone agreed on one detail that made the sight unforgettable: its size. Many witnesses estimated the object was over a mile wide, large enough to block out the stars as it passed above them. One man in Prescott said he could clearly see a dark structure connecting the lights. A mother standing outside with her children said the object moved so slowly, it felt as if it was gliding through the sky, not flying. And once again, there was complete silence. Imagine something that enormous floating directly above your home without making a sound. For many who witnessed it that night, the experience was both fascinating and deeply unsettling. But the story was far from over. Because later that night, the skies above Phoenix would light up again. And this time, thousands of people would witness it together. Around 10 p.m., residents across Phoenix noticed a row of bright lights hovering in the southern sky. Unlike the earlier formation, these lights appeared to remain almost perfectly still. They glowed intensely against the dark horizon. Then slowly, one by one, the lights began to fade. Moments later, they reappeared, then vanished again. Television stations across the city began receiving hundreds of calls from concerned viewers. Police departments were flooded with reports. By the end of the night, an estimated 10,000 people had seen the mysterious lights, making the Phoenix lights one of the largest mass sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena ever recorded. But the real mystery began when officials tried to explain what people had seen. Months after the incident, the U.S. military offered an official explanation. According to military officials, the lights were caused by illumination flares dropped during a training exercise. These flares were released by A-10 aircraft flying over the Barry Goldwater Range southwest of Phoenix. From a distance, flares can appear to hover in the sky before slowly drifting downward and fading out.
To many observers, this explanation seemed reasonable. But thousands of witnesses strongly disagreed, because the earliest sightings that night described something very different. A massive triangular formation moving silently across the state. Flares cannot travel hundreds of miles in formation, and they certainly cannot block out the stars. This raised an important question. Were there actually two separate events that night? Or was something else happening in the skies over Arizona? Then
the story took an unexpected turn, because the governor of Arizona at the time, Fife Symington, would later make a surprising confession. Shortly after the incident, Symington held a press conference to calm the public. In what many people remember as a strange moment, he introduced a man dressed in an alien costume. The room erupted in laughter. The message seemed clear. There was nothing unusual about the Phoenix Lights. But years later, Symington admitted something very different. He revealed that he had also witnessed the object, and according to him, it was enormous. In interviews, he described a massive craft silently moving through the sky, far larger than any aircraft he had ever seen. Coming from a former Air Force officer and state governor, his statement reignited the mystery surrounding the event. If even the governor believed something extraordinary appeared over Phoenix, then what exactly had thousands of people witnessed? Skeptics argue that the Phoenix Lights can be explained by a combination of aircraft formations and military flares. Psychologists suggest that once people hear about unusual sightings, their minds can sometimes fill in missing details. But many witnesses remain unconvinced. Among those who reported seeing the object were pilots, police officers, and military veterans. People trained to recognize aircraft in the sky. And many of them insist that what they saw that night was unlike anything they had ever encountered before. Some researchers believe it may have been a classified military aircraft being tested in secret. Others believe the explanation may lie far beyond human technology, an unidentified craft from somewhere else. Nearly 30 years later, the Phoenix Lights remain one of the most debated mysteries in modern history. Because when a single person reports seeing something unusual, it can easily be dismissed. But when 10,000 people witness the same event, the mystery becomes much harder to ignore. On that quiet night in 1997, thousands of people across Arizona looked up at the sky and saw something they could not explain. Some believe it was simply a military exercise. Others believe it was evidence of something far more extraordinary. But one thing is certain. For a few unforgettable hours, an entire city watched the same mystery unfold in the sky. And the truth behind the Phoenix Lights may still be waiting to be discovered. So now the question is yours to answer. What do you think people really saw that night over Phoenix? A secret military operation? A misunderstood natural phenomenon? Or something far more mysterious? Share your theory in the comments. Because sometimes the greatest mysteries in history are the ones witnessed by thousands and still remain unexplained.